Welcome to the Giddy Goose Show, where stories come alive. In this final episode for the season, we conclude our anthology, The One With, signing off with a story about a young teenager who finds herself longing, loving, losing, and loving again as her life takes her on a roller coaster of emotions. Find out what young love feels like in her own words, and words are something that she loves more than herself. Enjoy.
I often find myself on this couch, harder even than those creaky wooden chairs from school. It smells faintly of my mother's lotion, something meant to be flowery but too cheap to smell like a real blossom. Ugh. I look out the window, covered in odd layers of dirt, a shade browner than my skin. This grime would never come off, no matter how long you scrub at it. Past these layers of brown is a sky that is obstructed and is rarely ever clear. This floor that touches my bare feet is cold. My blue slippers, abandoned by my bed, calling out to me. It feels like November every time I bother to let myself feel. Ugh. And oh, here I have my cup of tea, made with too much sugar and the tiniest amount of milk. Just the way he taught me how to make tea. His thought reminds me of the world that existed in 11th grade, just a few years ago. The world that he sculpted for me. The world we discovered together. In those days, I was chronically low on this energy drink called confidence. And it's not that I found a cure, a magic elixir, even to this day. My hair may be 2 inches longer, my body a bit taller, and my eye bags certainly a lot darker. But not much has changed otherwise. Like my school, which is still this looming grey building like a brick box with windows. And the student's uniform is still boring, just like my school. Nothing out of the ordinary and nothing quite ordinary. Like travelling in the school bus, amidst the incessant shouting of 30 other juveniles. Sometimes I used to partake in their daily tradition of being reckless and all my problems were forgotten for those few minutes. But alas, it was never enough, as I often sat looking outside the window, listening to the wind too loud and melting in the heat too dry, alone. Strangely though, I found my school an ideal place to find treasures for my mind. New memories, I mean. Memories that I would admire on one day and loathe the very existence of on another. But amidst these is nested my most vulnerable memory. That of my first love. About the first inhabitant of my heart. The one whom I can call by 1,000 nicknames. The one who still roams the twisted corridors of my head. There was no meet cute, no flowing hair, no dreamy eyes, no disastrous cliches. Oh, please. He had been my neighbor for years, but I truly met him at, well, the same place where love for all 11th graders bloom. Tuition classes in a neighborhood gully that was always so muddy. Ugh. I was there for maths, obviously. I was hopeless in the subject. A subject that was full of numbers that I wished would vanish. My mind could not contort into believing letters to be numbers. X equal to 2, Y equal to 100. No. Because letters birth words. My very favorite of all things. Anyways, at the tuition classes, he sat next to me. Not close enough where our elbows would touch, but just enough where I could feel him sigh every time the questions were too long or too wrong. I could hear the chair creak every time he adjusted his posture and smell the faint cologne he must have nicked from his dad. He was not the sharpest mathematician, but for me, he knew everything. Except for the stutter in my heartbeat whenever I caught a whiff of his existence. He was everywhere. Our first words. He asked me something about trigonometry. Don't ask me what, because I did not know the answer. We both left with a score of 4 out of 30 and a dumb grin. Every teenage romance begins in the walls of WhatsApp, and ours was no exception. Our first text, it was, well, another trigonometry question. It became our inside joke. Trigonometry. Soon, we started to exchange more words, and I began to decipher the meaning behind his emojis, his punctuation, and his abbreviations. Unknowingly, we'd started something quite tragic. But some tragedies are quite lovely. At least to me, this one was. Love is ordinary to everyone, but the ones in love, right? We made the cafe our spot, smelling perennially of chai and samosas. The table at the back, near the kitchen, was ours. In his raspy voice, he would order a chai with way too much sugar, while I was busy cramming some ridiculous math formula. I never ordered anything, saving my pocket money for buying ice cream, like a secret celebration just for me, where there was only one person invited, me. And I was always there on time. I don't remember when it stopped being just me. I don't know if it was more pleasant being alone or being alone with him. With those sly smiles, the sneaky hand-holding, the cheeky winks. Our first phone call. I remember how his voice was so clear yet so dreamy. It was my mother's birthday. I could hear the bustling sounds from the cafe and felt my heart plummet to the depths that could rival the Mariana Trench. He called because I had missed our study session, and we had a major assignment due. But he never scoffed at my absence, because he understood. And that was when I knew that he had found the key under the carpet outside the creaky wooden door of my heart, and slipped through so inconspicuously, without even tiptoeing. I never noticed him sitting in the chair in front of me as I read, my back turned against these grimy brown windows. And just like that, the entirety of my 11th grade was slowly painted by him in the sunniest yellows and the loveliest blues. I used to worry if our story would end one day. And then one day, he said, "When we end is when our story begins." His voice cracking, his cheek blushing, and his eyes turning into the stars themselves. And our story did end. He moved, and he could no longer watch me read from this creaky chair. We realized that our world was never for us, and we watched it together, passing by. But I still flip through the pages of our wistful ballad, sitting in our regular spot at the cafe, ordering his usuals. I could never let go, and he knew. He knew me more than words did. He knew that I would continue to be my poetic, lovesick, romantic self, wishing that he would sit next to me again and that we would continue to fail trigonometry together. His last words for me were, "We will love again. Love, your muse." He loved again, and he is still my muse. I still see him in the words that pour out of me, the ice cream I still save up for. I still remember him when I sit on the couch in November wearing my blue slippers and writing words that the world will see, but only he will be able to hear. I have not let our story end, and he knows. He knows that my story hasn't begun. I stare out of the window again, and I write of him again.
Hope you like that story. And with that, we come to the end of season 1. We'll be back again soon with more. Until then, be well, take care, and goodbye.